You've always heard a lot of Bitcoiners say, one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. There's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin. It's scarce. You can't inflate the supply. But like, if you don't really get Bitcoin, you don't understand why that's super important. So, what I wanted to talk about today is an analogy that's been helping me think through a better way to talk about the scarcity that is Bitcoin's 21 million coins. So everybody knows condo buildings, right? Let's imagine a giant condo building complex with hundreds and hundreds of units inside. It's kind of its own little city. We're going to use that as an analogy to talk about Bitcoin. So think about one whole condo building as one whole Bitcoin, and that around the globe, there are 21 million of these condo buildings. And each Satoshi that's within an individual Bitcoin is like a unit within that condo building. So you don't have to own an entire building, just like in the real world, you don't have to own an entire building to live there. But you can own one unit, or you can own a few units, or you could own an entire floor of said building. So when you think of Bitcoin, just think about it as this conglomerate of the best apartment buildings or condos you could ever think of, and that you can own any amount of those. You could own the entire building, you could own just one unit, and anybody in the globe can log on and buy one of those on the open market. And it's a public ledger where basically, like at any point, you can go on and you could see who owns this. Well, you can't see the names, but you could see an account, right? Who owns what buildings, who owns what units, who owns what floors. And at any point, you could see who's transacting that, right? And you could go take your unit or your building and you could go sell it to somebody else in 10 minutes permissionlessly in China from America on the ledger. So it's this public account of the transactions and kind of facilitation of these condo buildings and units. So if you think about it, once all of the 21 million buildings are built or Bitcoins are mined, there will never be any more of those units or buildings made in history, right? Now let's go over to the fiat world. Imagine the fiat world is also a condo building situation, but they have an agreement. They've kind of convinced you that, hey, we're going to actually increase the supply of those buildings, of those units by roughly 2% a year. We've agreed that that is beneficial for society. That's going to help the wage growth, whatever they want to tell you about that. It's them creating 2% extra of that supply. Now, we all know that given how much money they've created, how much they've actually debased the currency, they've kind of low key increased the supply of those buildings by 7 or 8% every year. So that means, you buy this building, you think it's going to be this one of one thing that, over time the value is going to go up. The value nominally might go up, but they've been increasing the supply of these buildings to where it's getting less and less scarce over time. And then eventually it's to the point where maybe there's better condos, maybe there's better buildings, and people think, they just keep creating more and more of these things. I thought that the US dollar was the best condo building, but they keep making new ones, they keep making more, and ultimately the value of it's going down. So maybe I'll switch and go buy another building. Again, because of their need to spend money, their pet projects over here, maybe some insider information over there. On the back end, they're diluting and increasing the supply of these fiat condo buildings without your approval. In fact, it's a very small segment of people who own most of the buildings, who are making handshake deals behind your back, that are increasing the supply here. Now, again, I want to reiterate, Bitcoin will have 21 million buildings forever. They're still making the buildings, right? And that's what the halving is. They're making fewer and fewer buildings kind of as we go over time. The last building will be made in, I think, 2140 or something like that. But once they're made, that's it. And this is where the value going up thing makes a lot more sense. So if you only have 21 million condo buildings, that is Bitcoins, right? And over time, more and more people are agreeing, they're coming into agreement that these are the best buildings that will ever exist. The demand keeps going up for these buildings, these units, these floors. Everybody wants to live in these condo buildings. Then the price should therefore go up because the demand is constantly going up. So the demand of the network, the use of the network is consistently uh, overwhelming the supply that's available. And remember, there's no HOA, there's no board of directors on the Bitcoin side of this whole building analogy, right? Nobody could kind of say, like, oh, your property taxes are going up. You can't sell it here. We're going to put new roofs in. We think that there should be more buildings built over here. There's none of that, right? That is the beauty of Bitcoin. There is no CEO. There is no people in control of the knobs and the whistles like the federal government or the treasury are all the things that we have in our fiat system. So we have this pristine form of condo building. It's the people are starting to agree over time that this is the best place you can live. There will only ever be 21 million of them. You don't actually have to own the whole building. You can just own one unit. But once it's yours, it's free to transact. It is in your custody. You're not paying property taxes. It's like this um, digital condo building or apartment that is now yours. You can go sell it to somebody in 10 minutes for a very tiny fee, pennies pretty much, and it goes onto that public ledger. And it's understandable by everybody, and it is the most pristine thing you can own in the world. So I hope this helps you kind of better comprehend what Bitcoin's scarcity can actually mean. And if it does, please send it to somebody that you think it might help. We'll see you guys next time.